It is not Wednesday, my dudes, which means it's time for another First Thoughts and Initial Impressions Epic 7 video. This one will be on Last Piece Karin, the newest Moonlight 4-star that was shown smack dab in the middle of the night for my region, possibly in the morning, depending on where you live in the world. This video will contain my 2 cents on the character. Do I think she's good? Where would I play her? What would I play her on? All of those things you've come to expect from me. This will be the first of 2 videos today because this trailer was delayed until today, which is Thursday, May 25th. And then obviously, of course, as the universe always wills it, the balance adjustment preview that was scheduled for May 26th was moved up to today. So I'll have to talk about that later on in the afternoon. So do check back for that. This video, though, is going to be very special to me because this character is one of my favorites in all of Epic 7, and regardless of how I feel about the character in terms of gameplay, I'm still going to pull for this character and plus 15er no matter what. If you are unaware, if you never watched my Q&A anniversary video from a while back, the live 2D art that is on your screen now is of Karin. This was a promotional 2D art that was used to promote the game before it was even out in Korea. A good friend of mine, Anthony, showed me this live 2D art, and it immediately put Epic 7 as a game to watch on my radar because I thought that this character looked pretty cool. And at the time, I'd never really seen live 2D art like this. I was very impressed with the potential production value of this game. It also helped that she looked like Karin, which was one of the characters I loved playing in my very first gacha game, Puzzle and Dragons. So without Karin, I probably would not have given Epic 7 a chance, and I probably would not be making this video right now. So again, this character is very near and dear to my heart. With the long intro out of the way, let's take a look at her really badass S3 animation.
Achieving absolute mastery with the blade. That is my one and only goal in life. You should be proud of yourself, if you make it out of here alive. My mission is my top priority, for now.
So they gave our girl Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi, which instantly makes it my favorite S3 animation pretty much of the entire year. Throughout the video, you'll hear me pronounce her name as Karin, which I hope is correct because I'm basing it off of how the English dub voiceover artist Amanda Layton pronounces it in Epic 7.
Protector of justice, truth, magic, and, what comes after that? In any case, Lieutenant Karin has arrived!
You may recognize Amanda's voice from other characters in this game, such as Helga when you're doing expeditions, or potentially even Faithless Lidica when you're playing through World Arena. What I think she's most known, though, for in the world of voice acting is as the voice of Blossom from the 2016 Powerpuff Girls reboot. Moving on to Last Piece Karin's stats, she is a Light Thief of the Aries zodiac symbol, which means that for 4 stars, she shares a stat line with Green Sid. This is the 4-star counterpart of the stat line that Karin and Ran has, so you could expect this character to be blazing fast. Taking a look at her stats, she has 1,029 attack, 5,097 health, 126 speed, 473 defense, 23% critical hit chance, 150% critical hit damage, 3% dual attack chance, and no effectiveness or effect resistance. Imprint release is predictably attack percentage for the team because she is an aggressive character, and imprint concentration is critical hit chance, which is pretty much the best one for a DPS to have as it gives the most amount of raw stats. Overall, attack, health, and defense are well below average on this character, but she makes up for it by having really high starting critical hit chance, and then obviously that blazing fast 126 speed, which means that Last Piece Karin can be your speed contester if you so choose. This character very easily should be able to hit the 300 speed threshold, possibly even faster, depending on the build. And considering speed is the name of the game, I feel like a lot of people will be building this character over 300 speed, assuming that her damage multipliers aren't terrible and you have to tank the speed rating as a result to actually have her do her job. Moving on to Last Piece Karin's skills, we'll start with Blade Art Infinite Sword, aka Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi. Acquires 2 souls upon use and has a 5 to 6 turn cooldown depending on Malagora. Becomes 1 with the sword, dispelling 2 debuffs from the caster and granting increased attack and Phantom Sword to the caster for 3 turns. Grants an extra turn. When defeating an enemy while granted Phantom Sword changes into Neo Phantom Sword and decreases skill cooldowns of the caster by 1 turn. Phantom Sword says when attacking, if the target is a hero, damage sharing effects are ignored, unaffected by any effects related to buffs. Neo Phantom Sword is identical, however, it also has an additional effect of increasing the damage dealt on the character proportional to the target's maximum health and dispels after 1 attack. So let's break it down from the top. This move has a built-in dispel, which is super important for this character because with her low base attack, she, more than most other DPS characters, is going to need the attack buff to actually do her job. So it's not a full dispel like Hua Young, but it is still really nice to see because unbuffable won't actually slow her down if she somehow gets hit by like a Para S3 or something at the start of the battle, which is really, really, really nice. Attack buff, we always say here on the channel, is pretty much the best buff in the game for your DPS characters. It's what decides games, at the highest level, at least in my experience. If you have an attack buff, you're going to basically just flatten the opponent's team. So again, really, really important. Phantom Sword is that unique effect that we talked about. Your assassin having the ability to ignore damage sharing effects like an Aureus holder like Crimson Armin or the escort buff from a character like Unbound Knight Arwell is super invaluable. It allows you to pick off a potential squishy hard carry or a straggler, basically just assassinate them at the start, which I think you probably should be able to do. You're going to be building this character just straight glass cannon, fast, lots of damage, and then with that attack buff, hopefully you'll be able to do the job. One of the biggest knocks that I had on Blade Art Infinite Sword is actually it's a long 5-turn cooldown, but if you actually secure a kill, you are playing the character properly, she is doing her job, you will lower the cooldown on this move, which is super, super good. Neo Phantom Sword, as we already talked about, does give you a damage amp, but it's only for 1 attack, and it seems like it's designed to actually take out a bruiser afterwards because it gives you increased damage proportional to the target's maximum health. So the play pattern seems to be Blade Art Infinite Sword, get your attack buff up, assassinate a DPS character, and then with the enhanced version of your next attack on Neo Phantom Sword, you want to burst either a tank or a bruiser like Apocalypse Robbie afterwards. Let's jump in now and talk about the other 2 skills, which are the S2 and the S1, so we can see what our follow-ups are, what we're actually cashing in our attack buff for. So, Phantom Strike is the S2. Acquires 2 souls upon use and has a 4-turn cooldown, which is admittedly a bit rough. Attacks the enemy before granting stealth and a barrier to the caster for 3 turns. Hit chance is increased by 50% when using this skill. Damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's speed, and barrier strength increases proportional to the caster's attack. So you want this character really fast with a lot of attack to maximize the damage as well as maximize the barrier. This skill is very reminiscent to Zahak's S3, which gains increased hit chance and gives him protection after use. In fact, the way that Last Piece Karin reads is as a much faster, potentially equal to somewhat worse version of Zahak. You are taking this character because she is faster than Zahak is. One of the biggest pitfalls that I have as a player with Zahak is that you'll want to pick Zahak into Auden all of the time, but Zahak is usually around like 260 to 280 speed depending on your gear threshold. That is not enough to safely pick him into Conquer Aurelius. Last Piece Karin has 5 base speed faster than Conquer Aurelius, so it is possible for this character to actually go over the top of Conquer Aurelius and actually get the job done in assassinating your Remnant Violets or assassinating your Savior Audens. Because it only gives 50% hit chance, you now have a difficult choice to make when it comes to the artifact choice on this character. Obviously, we're going to be playing this character on speed set with penetration to maximize the speed on the character because that's what amps the damage, and then penetration also further amps that damage. But from there, you have to choose. Do you go Wind Rider, which is very much what a character like Sid would play in this slot? He is a single target assassin. He takes out one specific character, goes into stealth with Wind Rider, and then reaps the benefit of the massive damage increase on the follow-up attack. But 20% of the time, you'll miss the character that you're probably playing Last Piece Karin into, which means that you have to choose, do you want the Wind Rider, like I said, or do you want to go with a Symbol of Unity? That I can't answer for you. That's going to be something that you yourself will actually have to figure out. But Phantom Strike, like I said, pretty much solidifies this character as a different version of Zahak. Again, he has that powerful single target S3 that gives him protection and increased hit chance, which makes him ideal for dealing with specific dodge units. If you've played World Arena at all this season, anywhere on the ladder, I'm sure you've come across Savior Aiden. She's free. Everyone has her. She's one of the best damage dealers in the entire game. Probably like a top 3 DPS right now in the format. So that's what Last Piece Karin feels like she was designed to counter, is Savior Auden, at least, again, on paper. Moving on to the basic skill now, it is Vacuum Strike. Swings a sword to attack the enemy and increases combat radius of the caster by 10 to 15%. Depending on Malagor. Damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's speed, and the soul burn is for 10 souls, increases the damage dealt. It's a standard S1. If you've watched any of my How to Plays, you know 15% combat radius used to be really good. Now it's pretty much the standard with power creep. Almost everyone has something like this as the baseline. At the end of the day, what it comes down to for Last Piece Karin is the damage multipliers. The S3 is a good setup skill. It's exactly what a fast single target assassin actually needs. The rest is going to rely entirely on the multipliers. If the S1 and the S2 don't have good multipliers, then this character is going to fall flat. But again, fairly straightforward in what this character is supposed to be. She is essentially a much faster version of Zahak with potentially not as much upside because she doesn't have things like a cleanse or an attack buff that she can give to other people in the kit. She doesn't have resource reduction because she doesn't have like an exclusive equipment. S1 might not be as powerful because Zahak has that damage amp if the character has a buff. But at the end of the day, the big differentiator is that this character is on the Thief class and is 126 base speed. Can't really make it more clear-cut and dry than that. Again, I think the character is pretty much only going to be speed set with penetration. Maybe you might have critical hit chance set as something that you'd want to use if you can't get pen, or maybe even immunity. There might be some edge cases with that. But overall, speed set for sure feels like the way, and your artifact choice is going to be either Wind Rider or a Symbol of Unity, or maybe even Portrait of the Saviors. It's pretty much that. That's kind of it. Character is very linear, and I feel like very obvious in what she does. If the damage multipliers are good, though, I do think that this character will see play, especially for you aggro and cleave players. I am looking to pick this character up because I love this character so much, and honestly, I'll probably give her my fastest DPS speed gear because I could use another speed contester at this point, and why not have it be one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise? So those are my thoughts on Last Piece Karin. Let me know down in the comments below how you feel about her. Do you love her? Do you hate her? How would you rate her? Any and all thoughts, would love to hear from you in the comments section down below. Remember, we will be doing the balance adjustment preview video in just a few hours from this video actually debuting, so would love to see you all come back for that one. If you are leaving me, though, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye now.